Wow, this map. This took me 1,070 something tries. Well, really good job. Like, very impressive second map. Like, this is the second map A1 made. It's all the more impressive to have usage of boom stuff that it still feels vanilla gameplay, like not Jeezy stuff, but it's really pushing the limits of boom. Anyway, this first fight, I died here probably 1,000 times. It's the hardest part of the level. You can see why. um, in the last couple tries, and maybe this would have changed which fights I think would be the hardest, I tried strafing slower so that I spend more time in the open areas and less time getting stuck. Yeah, the switches don't animate. It's his second map, you know. Happens. So, the idea for this fight is that eventually you can hit both of the switches by the cybers through the teleporters, which open up the different colored teleporters. Now, if you're cool, then you can get this rocket launcher early, but I ended up just getting it later on. It's hard to grab from all the revs. Alright. Now, there's a secret switch, which takes us here. Yep, the crusher room. But I do it in a pretty funny way. I just let everything get crushed, and I, you know, take advantage of Pain Elementals not having a melee. Now, I died here so many times to these vials. But I found if you kind of spray to the side as you enter the little corner, it helps. It helps a little bit. With that said, I still almost died. Now, you might think, hey, why is this hard? Just pick them off slowly. Well, they revive each other, so, you know. Now, there's some Psy Bruisers over there. I'm just gonna let them get crushed. So yeah, this is the rocket launcher from the last room. You might notice it looks like the Doom 64 one a little bit. It has infinite rockets and shoots pretty fast. Also, it's a Weapon 8 replacement. That's why it has no knockback and it doesn't show up on my HUD. Also, it consumes shell capacity. Don't worry about it, just boom things. But this is the Balls of Steel rocket launcher, which I've been calling the Red Baller. It's very powerful. This one doesn't have any like special properties, it just has very high fire rate. Again, the switches don't animate, no big deal. So basically, this secret room, you know, a lot of times there's a secret area and you get like a BFG. But now we get this Balls of Steel rocket launcher, even more powerful. Anyway, orange room. We can hear you. You can only shoot if you're on the orange, otherwise the Archviles hear you. Also, don't shoot in such a way that the Archviles take damage or they'll wake up. So I tried doing Nukage Rhythm. Yes, it's crazy. The orange hurts you when you stand on it. I used a little bit of the Balls of Steel to get a foothold. Thanks, David, for suggesting that. And then you just got to do the dance. You got to do the horseshoe. You got to do the J-turn. You got to do the horseshoe. And also get the Megasphere. Hope nobody spawns in front of you. Use the weapon sway of the BFG to tell you when it's ready to fire again, because you know what? It doesn't time perfectly with how long it takes to get from each side. This is a hard room. Yeah. And I try to be fancy. I try to get big hits on the cybers, usually. But for whatever reason, in this run, I went easy with it. You might notice I'm not shooting from this side, because then I would hit the Archviles, and then they would be mad at me, which is really bad. I'm only gonna have tracers go in that direction. You better know how the BFG works, or you know, you're not gonna be playing this map. So, the red and orange fights, this one's orange, give the BFG. And they lead you to either the other one or the white room. The white room you can access from the beginning, actually. But I want the BFG. So, you know, I do this fight beforehand. Yeah, there's some cells there. So the white fight, this is one of the mandatory encounters of the level. Supposedly, David can do this with only this infinite rocket launcher. It's really hard to do that. I haven't actually done that. You might notice I'm taking a pretty conservative path. If I step onto the gray, the walls open up, vials appear, and I will die. So I can only do the outer section, which is where the crusher is. Which honestly isn't that bad because it protects me from missiles. But yeah, all of the BFG I can get, all of the balls of steel rocket launcher I can get, that's the red one, make this fight possible. But eventually we gotta get that invuln, and that'll open up those vials like we talked about. Now my goal is, when I get the invuln, don't even bother with the vials, who cares? This room is enormous when it all opens up, so what I try to do is exit to this corner where the Manx are. The other corner has Revenants, and if I'm on this corner, the Revenants in the other corner pull into the center, so they're less important. When I hit all the switches, the walls come, or the ceiling comes down. Walls don't really come down. Now, the hardest switch to hit is that one down there. That's why I'm kind of making the beeline for it, skipping some. But whenever you hit a switch, you know, you're consuming a megasphere before you really need it. So, you know, so I can get this one. All right, but now we're out of megas. We used up all of our megaspheres, but I've hit all the switches now. So, the only thing I need to do is not die, but I took a lot of missiles, which is bad. Oh my, I just got hit once. I get hit again. Incredible. I got hit twice at like 9 health there. Insane. Yeah, luckily there's a little safe zone there. So once you hit all the switches, the crusher goes. You don't have to worry about these guys anymore. Alright, next up is red. I didn't need to take that megasphere. That was just panicking. Alright, here, this fight doesn't look that hard per se, but all the conveyor belts are pulling you in all sorts of directions. And no, it's not just forwards. It depends where you're standing. Yes, it changes. So I do a little bit of no SP2 map 2 in here, standing in the back. But eventually, when the Manx start showing up, I circle strafe against the crushers. Against the conveyors. And you might think that's hard. It's actually not that difficult. You just have to SR50, otherwise you're really, really slow. And then I take cover. Fun fact, there are multiple crushers at the end there and a damaging floor. It is ridiculous. Don't worry about the little negative sign on the HUD. It doesn't matter. It only affects shell capacity, but I don't have any shells, so. Yeah, it's just boom things when you have infinite weapons. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now we're waiting for those Manx and Cybers to die. Truth is, I could have done this faster. Like, if I was cool, I could have said, hey, I have 2 megaspheres left. I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna BFG the Cybers, but I decided to just wait. I could have probably saved like almost a minute, but whatever. I mean, look, I'm 1,000 attempts in here. I wasn't in the mood to take more risk than necessary. So, this is going to be our last use of the balls of steel rocket launcher. It is extremely powerful. So when you step on those fake teleporters, lots of revenants. And you know what? Yeah, we're using the crusher to defend myself against missiles, because I'd rather take 60 some odd damage than... might actually be more. Yeah, it's 60. I'd rather take 60 damage from that than take like 4 or 5 rockets. Now, alright, it's time for the finale. We have... I almost missed him. That would have been terrible. You can get crushed by that crusher when you teleport in, so if you have less than 60 health, you're dead. All right, you got to hit all the switches really fast to make the floor non-damaging and kill the vials. Also, there are lots of chain gunners and stuff. Just watch what happens here. Four health. 4 health. That's how close we got. So, you might notice that sign. David has it saying, don't blame the red screen for your... Oh, it says, go ahead, blame the red screen for your failure. I think David misunderstands a little bit. I'm not blaming the red screen, I am blaming the damage. I think it's the bullets that are killing me, not the red. So anyway, once you hit all the switches, the floor becomes no longer damaging, and also the door to exit starts opening, but it takes maybe 30-40 seconds. There it is. That's why I use BFG slowly, so it lasts a long time. And then, I don't know what happened there, but I got launched out so quickly that I landed on the Megasphere, which means I don't have the Megasphere for here. I need to push out. And look at that, I only have 24 health. That was 1 tick away. If I took 1 more tick of damage on the floor, I would have been dead. So, this room has 3 floors, a blue, a white, and an orange. Each one has a different situation in terms of archviles. This floor is damaging. Not archviles, cyber demons. These have the least threatening cyber demons because they're on the sides, but you don't need to go on the sides since the switches are in the center. I'm talking really fast, but you know what? There's a 15-minute map. It's got 5,000 monsters and some of the most complicated and difficult fights I've played, period. So, don't blame me. Blame David. Alright, we hit all the switches on the yellow, but now I don't want to go from yellow to white. It's not nice to do that. You don't want to do that. I'd rather bounce between blue and white because blue is probably the safest area. So I'll just bounce between those a little bit. Both of these are north, so it works out just fine. Now we got to push in. We got to hit these last 2 switches and then we're going to win, right? No, it activates Crushers, which we'll see very soon. This is why I do white last, so he's weak. When you hit all the switches, 2 on each floor, everything opens up. There are lots of vials. Remember, vials resurrect not only each other, but also pain elementals and lost souls. Wait, Wolf doesn't count that correctly. It gets confused when a lost soul gets resurrected, because normally lost souls don't get resurrected. So, I don't actually know how many kills I have until I check with DSGA. I use Wolf because of controller support. So I just, hoped that I had all the kills. So, honestly, this part isn't too hard. You just need to not get dead, which, I mean, you have so many Megaspheres. It's really not that bad. It looks chaotic, but you're fine. Now, remember, I left some enemies back in the yellow fight, not the yellow floor, the yellow fight. So, we're going to go visit them. Make sure you click the red one and not the orange one, because the red one has ammo and the orange one has a soft lock. Is the only way back, really? Probably a faster way. I check, make sure there are no enemies remaining, because you know what? There could be. So, time to go to yellow. Make sure you don't get crushed there, because you know what? These are slow crushers. You will die. Anyway, we head over. Let's clean out these guys. Make sure we got all of them, and we will move on. Little dash into the wall. Thanks so bad for, making the video about Revenants. I get this Megasphere, and I realize I have about a minute left to beat David. You did this in 15 minutes. So, I know enemies usually pool up right here, and if I kill all of them, I'll be good. And then I see, wait, there's an archvile all the way at the end. We gotta go deal with him. We need all the kills. So let's head upstairs and kill that last vial and get out of here. But then I hear there are more monsters, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I don't even see him. Oh, it's over there. But we were able to get this last vial and exit. What a map. If you want to watch without the annoying commentary, link is in the description, of course. Oh my god. That was 1,000 attempts. I could say so much about strategy for all that, but I'm just going to say it was hard. It was very difficult. Decino shouldn't have beaten Legion so fast, because then David made his next map harder.